Opo. Prof, itong nangyayari ngayong lumalalang krisis umano sa ekonomiya at politiko, may ilang grupo po kasi ang nananawagan na dapat si Vice President Sara Duterte ay manguna sa oposisyon para po dito sa mga grupo ito magsalita, manguna para po ay paglaban ang ating bansa. Ano pong tingin po ninyong magiging implikasyon po niyan?
Well, to be honest, in this very dark and tumultuous times, we really need somebody to take the charge and take the lead. However, we need to understand also na dahil nga sa mga patong-patong na mga allegations at saka nga itong pilit nila na isinusulong na impeachment laban sa ating ikalawang pangulo, I think this will be seen with some levels of doubt, particularly doon sa mga hindi talaga sumusuporta sa ating ikalawang pangulo. They might be thinking that this is just another ploy on the part of the vice president to save herself from the impeachment and to actually gain political traction heading into the 2028 election. So alam naman natin yung mga binabanggit lagi ng mga moralista na kaaway mga kalaban sa ating ikalawang pangulo, it's always the same tune, even if alam na nga nila na lumulubog tayo sa kumunoy sa pamumuno ng ating Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, pero they will choose that any time of the day kesa mapasailalim or sumuporta sa ating ikalawang pangulo. Kaya nga ito yung lagi kong sinasabi that what we're seeing right now is really more of a selective outrage, selective accountability, selective justice. It's not something na talagang gusto nating gawin dahil ayaw natin sa corruption, kundi ginagawa ng marami sa atin, ng ilan nating kababayan dahil nga sa ayaw lamang nila sa mga Duterte. So it's as simple as that. So I think yun yung magiging problema dito if ever. And I don't think it's in the character right now of the Vice President, although she, I believe, would want to do that. Hindi niya ito gagawin because I think she knows what will be the political implications of this, lalo nga ngayon na magsisimula na yung impeachment trial niya.
Opo, at maituturing hubad ding destabilization plot yan kung hinihikayat mo ang isang pangalawang pangulo. Kasi marami po sa mga pro-Duterte, yung mga talagang kritiko ng administrasyon ngayon na gustong si VP Sara ang mamuno sa isang malawak na oposisyon para isulong yung pagbabago ng ating pamahalaan, Prof.
Well, even if she doesn't take the charge or take the lead in this movement as they are trying to create at the moment, I think the impression and the image that she already has for herself is already clear. That she is the only lone opposition. Okay, I mean, pagbalik-balik rin man natin ng mundo, hindi natin po pwedeng sabihin na si Risa Ontiveros ay opposition. Hindi natin po pwedeng sabihin na mga Dilawan, ang mga Pinklawan ay opposition. Hindi natin po pwedeng sabihin na yung Makabayan Bloc ay opposition. Why? Because they cannot even call out the president. They cannot even call out the president and his allies. They cannot even mention yung flood control scandal. Iniiwasan nila to, because alam nila na kapag binanggit nila to, ito ay tahasang pagkilala doon sa usapin na kung saan may kinalaman talaga ang ating Pangulo. So sino pa ba talaga ang opposition na matatawag? Di yung nagsasabi at nagsisiwalat ng katiwalian at ng talagang humihingi ng hustisya para sa mas nakararami nating kababayan. And I think that's none other than the Vice President. And if you try to look at it, bago pa naman talaga nagsimula itong pag-ugong ng flood control na to, maalala natin, pinabanggit lagi ni President BBM na siya yung nagsiwalat nito. Pero we need to understand, as early as 2023, binabanggit na to ng ating ikalawang Pangulo. Sinabi na niya na ang pera ng bayan ay nandito lamang kay Martin Romualdez at saka kay Zaldico. Sino ba yung amo ni Zaldico at saka ni Martin Romualdez? Maliban, walang iba kundi si BBM. It's as simple as that. So the only opposition right now that I'm seeing is the Vice President. And even if she doesn't take the charge or take the lead in this case, I think it's very clear what she stands for. And I think that is what the public understand and needs to understand at the moment.
Siguro ang gustong mangyari po ng ilang grupo ay lumabas po yung mga tao, makiisa sa mga protesta laban sa administrasyon. Pero ang nangyayari kasi, hindi po ganoon katindi, hindi po ganoon kalawak. Prof, kung hindi ako nagkakamali. Ano bang dating po para sa inyo?
Well, actually kasi the problem is this, no, if this incidents actually happen na ang vice president is not a presidential frontrunner, I think itong mga civil society groups, religious groups, itong mga leftist, communist blocs na to, at saka yung mga pinklawan, the progressives, yung mga dilawan na to, I think they will be all up in arms against the president. Indicative of what happened during the time of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Kung maalala natin, talagang sila, they were very vocal against the administration of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo during that time. And if you try to look at it, yung mga panahon ni Gloria Arroyo, we're only talking about millions, di ba? Right now, we're talking about billions and even trillions of peso. No? Pero bakit hindi sila ganon ka-vocal right now about the flood control? It's as simple as this, no? Because the front runner, the presidential front runner, happened to be Duterte. Nung panahon ni Gloria Macapagal Arroyo kasi si Vice President Noling de Castro never had any intent to run for the presidency, so he was not a moving target. No? Pero ngayon kasi is the VP who is really running and she is topping the pre-poll charts habang ito namang si BBM patuloy na sumasadsad, no? So this is already a clear indication na kung sino man yung mamanokin at i-endorso ng ating pangulo will definitely be a kiss of death, ano? Definitely mahihirapan siyang manalo, no? So the only way by which they could turn things to their favor is by trying to really target the front runner, and this is none other than VP Sara Duterte. No? So yun yung kaya yung nakikita natin yan, no? Kahit sabihin natin na may mga tao na gusto na talagang labanan itong corruption na to, nahihirapan sila no? Kasi nga taliwas ito doon sa kanilang political principles, taliwas sa kanilang political agenda, taliwas doon sa kanilang political motivations, no? And yun nga, dito natin makikita na parang mas namamayani yung kanilang political motivations or political reasons kaysa doon sa kanilang nationalistic aspirations. Na kahit meron tayong malakihan na pagdarambong na ginagawa sa atin, pero suportahan pa rin natin si BBM kasi kaysa suportahan natin si President Duterte, no, si Vice President Duterte na front-runner na hindi natin maisusulong yung political agenda natin. It's as simple as that. No? Kaya nga, maliwanag dito no, na dapat naiintindihan ng ating makbabayan na kaya nila pa ulit-ulit binabanatan si VP Sara Duterte is simply because she is most likely going to win in 2028. No? And sino ba ang atakihin mo? Siyempre, yung pinakamataas na tsansa na mananalo. Kaya nga lahat ng ginagawa nila ngayon, number one, controlling the resources. You know? Lahat ng kaba ng bayan, lahat ng pera ng bayan, they're actually controlling it at the moment. They're controlling the narrative. No? Lahat ng kwento pabor sa kanila. They're controlling or dictating the tempo, okay, of the politics in the government right now. Kaya nga pilit nilang kinuha ulit yung majority dito sa Senado. All of this is really against VP Sara Duterte. Huwag na tayo pong magplastikan at huwag na po sana tayong gumawa pa ng kung ano-anong kwento at alibay na they went back to work because they want to serve the public. Yes, I understand that and that's very good. Pero deep within that is a bigger motivation, and that is all about self-preservation. Because if this is not the case, then I challenge right now the Office of the Ombudsman to file cases against Senator Joel Villanueva and Senator Jesus Cordero. Kasi yun yung binabanggit nila before, right? Na may mga kaso, hinug na yung kaso. So ngayon ba, dahil sa paglipat nila sa majority block dito kay Gatchalian, mawawala bigla yung kaso? Kasi kung ganun ang gagawin nila, paliwanag, pinagloloko lang nila ang taong bayan.
Opo. Bago ko lang ipasok kay Partner Admar Prof, tulad ng sinasabi po ninyo, kapag naging kritiko ka ng administrasyon either papakulong ka, kakasuhan ka, or talagang aarestuhin ka. Lalo na yung mga ordinaryong mga Pilipino, kung magsasalita ka talagang laban po sa administrasyon ng kung ano-ano. Alam mo na kung anong mangyayari po sa inyo. Kaya ano bang dapat gawin ng mga ordinaryo mga Pilipino? Alam mo naman, marami pong mga grupo, dumarami ba mga grupo talaga ngayon na talagang galit na sa administrasyon? Kung galit sila, papaano nila yun maipapahayag? Dahil kung ipapahayag nila, alam mo na kung anong mangyayari sa kanila. So, ano ba dapat saan po, paano ho ba yan ibabalansehin ng mga ordinaryong mga Pilipino, Prof? Lalo na ngayon, may ilan nga sa mga grupo nga ay nananawagan nga sa ating Vice Presidente.
Well, unang-una, no, I think we could leverage on the power of social media. No? Yun yung malaking kaibahan natin sa 1986. No? Nung panahon na yun nga, we were able to topple down a dictator who eventually is, of course, the father of the current president. Pero nagawa natin yun during that time. But right now, we have technology in our fingertips. We have artificial intelligence. We have social media. I mean, you could use this, no, to leverage on whatever it is that we want to say and whatever insight we want to give. No, if you actually look, and I really don't understand, no, and I don't even know if these politicians are even looking at the comments, kahit sa Facebook lang nila, no, sa mismong mga pages nila. Ewan ko kung binabasa nila yung comments, ewan ko kung tinitignan nila yung mga reactions. Doon pala makikita mo na no? Magpo-post sila ng isang kahit simpleng Happy Father's Day greetings lang, pero makikita mo na yung mga laugh emojis sobrang dami. Makikita mo yung mga comments hindi talaga magaganda. I mean, that's where you get the unadulterated, non-artificial sentiment of the public. Diba? Dito mo palang malalaman na talagang ayaw na sa kanila ng mga tao, ng totoong taong bayan, diba? Kaya nga, yun, they know this. Okay? The truth is they know this. That's why they are trying to do everything they could in their power so that they could turn things around, no? They're trying to see kung paano nila mako-convert yung mga sabihin na nating soft line supporters ng ating ikalawang pangulo o yung mga umaayaw talaga sa kanila para sumapi doon sa kanilang hanay at ipaglaban yung kanilang pinaglalaban kahit baluktot to at wala sa katwiran, no? So yun yung para sa akin, we need to really be very vigilant about this, ano. Yung sinasabi ni Irwin Tulfo na move on na tayo sa flood control. I don't know what kind of logic is behind that statement. No, when you say move on na tayo sa flood control, how could you move on something na hindi naman na-resolve? How could you move on something na hindi naman talaga nabigyan ng hustisya in the first place? Are you trying to tell us to move on? Is it because he is part of it? His name has been dragged into it? Is that the reason? Kasi kung ganun, you're just dispelling this, you're just dispelling the allegations, but without coming up with a concrete manifestation of your sabihin na nating nung kawalan mo ng guilt or kawalan mo ng involvement. Diba? Kumaga binabrush aside mo lang siya pero hindi nagkakaroon ng conclusion. So we cannot, kumaga sa isang relationship, diba? Hindi tayo pwede magkaroon ng closure kung hindi natin naintindihan ang punot dulo. Diba? Bakit tayo nagkahiwalay? Diba? So ganun din, paano tayo mag-move on kung hindi natin naintindihan ano ba talaga ang nangyari dito sa pera ng taong bayan? And then you're telling us to move on to other issues when in fact this is a very big issue that deserves public explanation. So these things, no, kinakailangan yung vigilance natin. Hindi tayo po pwedeng mawala ng gana, hindi tayo pwedeng panghinaan because yun ang gusto nila. Okay, yun ang gusto nitong mga dark forces na to, no, na mawala na tayo ng gana para patuloy nilang magagawa yung kanilang mga pinagagagawa sa ating lipunan, sa ating kabanambayan at patuloy silang magpapasasa dito, no, kapag wala ng interes ang taong bayan, no. Yes, I understand nakakapagod. Yes, I understand nakakadismaya. No, pero pwede tayong magpahinga siguro pansamantala pero after that laban ulit because this fight is not just for ourselves, no, not just for our family but for the future generations of Filipinos, no. Pero if you're going to allow these people, no, lalong-lalo na itong mga moralista na akala mo matitino, akala mo magagandang magsalita sa harap ng publiko pero sa likod nito may mga tinatagong malalaking baho talaga, yun po yung nakakalungkot na kung sila yung magpapatakbo ng ating bayan.
Prof, magandang umaga. Si Admar po ito. Inilabas kamakailan ang survey sa huling bahagi ng Marso ng SWS at ito overall performance ng kabuuan ng Marcos administration na tila same sagrado po na ibinigay ng taong bayan kay Marcos Jr. No? Kung ikukumpara noong November 2025 plus 14 siya, ang overall performance ng Marcos admin ngayon ay negative 13. Ano po masasabi niyo po rito?
Well, actually, medyo mataas pa nga yung negative 13, ano? I expect it to hit rock bottom even more, no? Why? The public is not blind. No? Unang-una, kung iniisip ng mga nasa kapangyarihan ngayon, ano, lalong-lalo na nito nila Pantelo Lacson, Tito Soto, or Gatchalian, Erwin Tulfo, na napapaikot nila yung taong bayan because of this. The numbers do not reflect. The numbers clearly show that they are already disfavoring the president. No? Kasi nga, itong numero na to, makikita natin, when Gloria Macapagal in 2010 went out, no, I think she got negative 45. No, that was in 2010. No, itong negative 13 na to right now, I think may mga sapat na panahon pa si President Marcos para mas mapababa niya palalo yung kanyang numero. No, baka matalo niya si GMA kapag pag siya umalis na later on. Pero the point is, kidding aside, ang tanong dito is, may pakialam ba yung presidente? Is he bothered? Is he concerned? Kasi kung concerned siya, at kung nakita na nga niya yung downward trajectory ng kanyang mga numero that started, I think 2 years ago, dapat right now may ginagawa na siya. Dapat right now nararamdaman natin na meron na siyang efforts to revive and revitalize his position and his numbers. Pero there's none. In short, hindi na siya after dito. Ang goal na lang niya talaga is aaring matapos yung kanyang termino, maprotektahan yung kanyang mga kaalyado, makapagnakaw pa ng mas malaking pera, no, para masigurado nila yung kanilang political and yung kanilang self-survival later on. And syempre at the expense of the poor marginalized Filipinos. No? So yun, kasi kung talagang may pakialam siya rito, he will feel mararamdaman natin, tsaka he may be issuing statements, no, na he will be telling us that rest assured that he's going to do everything he could, no, to win back the trust and the confidence of the public. But without those things, he's just brushing it aside. Ibig sabihin, it doesn't concern him at all.
Opo, and kapansin-pansin din dito na ang may mga negative no na satisfaction rating na ginagawa ng gobyerno ay yung pag-eradicate sa graft and corruption, negative 10, ensuring oil companies do not take advantage of oil prices, negative 12, at ang pinaka negative talaga sa net satisfaction is yung paglaban sa inflation po. Kumbaga hindi nagtutugma yung ginagawa ngayon ng gobyerno, or baka sasabihin na naman ng Malacanang, yung mga tinanong kasi baka hindi naabutan ng tulong mula sa gobyerno, Prof.
Ang problema kasi with this government, they tend to think that the public and what the public only demands and what the public only needs is ayuda. Na para bang wala na tayong ibang kayang gawin or maisip sa gobyerno maliban sa pagbibigay ng band-aid solutions. Yes, I know that many of our countrymen are actually looking for this ayuda as a short-term relief. Pero as a long-term structural and sustainable mechanism for livelihood support, hindi talaga po ito sasapat. And the more that you give ayudas to the public, the more that you disenfranchise the middle class. Diba? Kasi hindi po pwede na ang pera ay ibibigay mo lamang doon sa mga nasa laylayan. Pero itong pera na to ay nagagaling naman sa mga middle class, technically speaking, from the taxes that they're paying. So, kumbaga para bang you're pleasing the poorest of the poor, but you're already disenfranchising and isolating naman the middle class, which constitutes also a big number, a big percentage, not only of voters, but of of people who actually are more involved in the political sphere, no? So yun yung problema dito, no? Ang akin kinakailangan talaga, and I've been working on this for a long time, no? When you're in the government, you have the resources, you have the tools, you have the manpower, you have the people to create meaningful and tangible outcomes, supposedly, no? Kaso hindi yun yung ginagawa nila kasi mas maganda para sa kanila yung pagbibigay ng ayuda. Siguro tamad na mag-isip, tamad ng mag-execute, no? Eto pera na lang. And then mas malaki kasi yung yung leverage na nakukuha nila ron eh. Imagine kung halimbawa nga meron kang 500 pesos na nanggaling sa taxpayer na middle class. Yung 500 na yan, kinuha mo sa kanya, pero yung 500 na yan, ibibigay mo tig-100 sa 5 mahihirap nating kababayan as ayuda. So you gain 5 more votes kahit nawalan ka ng isang boto dun sa middle class. No? But the point is, hindi yun yung tamang panuntunan at hindi yun yung tamang proseso. No? So nakikita natin na talaga yung mga kababayan natin, nandun yung kamulatan eh. Kasi kung talagang may supporters pa na natitira to si DPM, siguro kahit paano naman magre-resonate yan sa kanyang numero. No? Pero kung trajectory mo talagang pababa, consistently going down, it means that talagang there's a great level of dissatisfaction. And siguro isama na rin natin dito, hindi lamang yung issue ng corruption. Isama na rin dito natin talaga yung governance mismo. No? Yung governance kasi, hindi mo yan po pwedeng, i-reconcile doon sa mga tinatawag natin na exogenous variables, kagaya ng oil crisis, di ba? Kasi nakikita ng taong bayan yan na kahit merong krisis, panlabas, kung ikaw talagang may control at talagang you're on top of the situation internally, makikita ng tao yan, especially in crisis situations. So what I mean is that it's in crisis situations like this that creates leaders. No? And unfortunately, we do not have a leader right now.
Opo, huli na lang po, Prof. Kapansin-pansin, -15 yung sa pagtugon ng gobyerno sa inflation. Pero may pahayag po yung kritiko ni Vice President Sara Duterte na focus lang tayo sa impeachment trial. Ito daw yung nangunguna na inaantabayanan daw at kailangan na raw matuldukan para daw makabalik sila sa trabaho.
Okay. Ito nga po yung talaga nakakatawa, no? Para bang ang buhay ng mga tao ay umiikot na lang sa impeachment. Pero kung titignan nyo, ito, I just want to tell this to our countrymen. Once and for all, pala po talaga tayo magkaroon ng tamang frame or logical reasoning. Diba? Ano po ba ang trabaho ng Vice President? Ano po ba ang ginagawa ng Vice President para bigyan natin ng ganito kalaking atensyon at bigyan natin ng ganito kalaking focus, 'di ba? Bakit kinakailangan na yung buhay natin ay umikot sa kanya? When in fact, the government has its resources, the government has the people, the government has the money. Kung gusto ng gobyerno na ayusin ang buhay ng mga Pilipino, kaya nila itong gawin. Whether nandyan si Vice President or ma-impeach siya, they can do that. Okay? Pero let's face it, why are you doing and why are you parang pulling down a lot of your energies and a lot of your efforts just to target a vice president that does not do anything? I mean, hindi naman talaga siya kumbaga binibigyan ng oportunidad in the government. Yes, she has her own office, pero she's just a president in waiting, you know? Nag-aantay lang naman siya na kung mababalda, mamamatay halimbawa yung Pangulo, may mangyayari sa kanya, she will be the constitutional successor. But without those incidents, no? Kung wala namang ganon at malakas naman yung ating Pangulo, bakit masyado tayo nakapokus sa kanya? It's for the very simple reason that they perceive her as a threat to their aspirations for 2028. And I'm telling you, it's not only about political aspirations for 2028, it's all about their survival. Okay? Kasi alam nila na kapag si VP Sara ang mananalo sa 2028, lahat itong mga nangyari ngayon, lahat ito mauungkat, lahat ito babalik, at lahat ito ay papanagutin ng magiging panibagong liderato later on. And that is what they are very, very afraid of. Okay? At bakit sila natatakot? 'di ba? Kasi marami talaga silang ginawang mali. 'Di ba? Ang natatakot lang naman talaga yung may mga ginawang hindi tama. Kasi if you're on the side of the truth, you don't have anything to be afraid of. And why will you be afraid of the vice president when in fact she's just a spare tire? 'Di ba? Yun lang yun eh. Pero bakit masyado kayong focus sa impeachment? Ang akin, yes, let's impeach kasi it is a constitutional duty. It's a constitutional mandate. Let's impeach. Why not? Actually, maganda nga masimulan na kaagad para matapos na, mabigyan ng desisyon. Whether it's conviction or acquittal, at least natapos na yung phase na yon, di ba? At baka sakali, pagka nagkaroon na ng finality itong kanilang impeachment na to, baka maisipan na nila talagang totoong magtrabaho para sa kapakanan ng ating mga mamamayan.